Okay, we're live. We're going to get
Yay.
officially started in about 3 minutes, two and a half
Awesome.
probably. But welcome everyone. And sorry we missed you last week. Well, sorry and not sorry too, because I did get a vacation in, which was lovely.
Sorry, not
But
sorry.
yeah, I missed everybody though. So hopefully you came back. I hope so. Um, Jen, how are you today?
I'm good. I was just sharing the link on my timeline so people could watch
Oh, good. Thank
and
you.
make
Thank
sure people
you.
know that this awesome space exists. I'm good.
Oh, it,
I'm good.
yeah,
I'm
good.
ready for the weekend. I'm ready for Friday. Um, Happy to be here today because it was a nice break from the usual routine. So,
It's fun, isn't it?
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
it is. It has to be,
Yeah.
or else you wouldn't keep doing it every week.
That is the truth. That really is the truth about me. I'm gonna post this real quick too. A link out for everybody. That's so smart. I don't know why I haven't done that before.
Oh, really? Oh yeah.
I mean,
Share,
I
share, share.
share all the time, but to like actually be like, we're live
Share
right
it
now.
live.
Here's the
hmm
link. Yeah. Why
hmm
haven't I done that?
I don't know. Just not. Now you know. Now you
Not
will.
that smart. I'm not as smart as you. It's all good.
I'm not. I'm sure I didn't invent that, but
Well,
I'm
you did
sure
for
I learned
me.
it somewhere.
Yeah, you did it for me. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I just want to invite everybody to go ahead and put in comments, ask questions, um, let us know what you're thinking. Uh, Also, give us ideas about topics you'd like to see discussed or um, people that you think I should have on Nonprofit Coffee Talk. I'd love that too.
hmm
So, we're going to start now officially. So, welcome everybody to the Nonprofit Coffee Talk, our weekly live cast. We cast on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So, happy to have you here today and hope you find this session helpful. I'm so excited to have Jen Belt here today to talk about the value in networking for nonprofits and being a resource for others.
hmm
Jen is an artist, which I think is so cool, a small business owner, and a mother of two. Fundraising for community programs and charitable organizations has been a passion for most of her adult life. You're going to get like 50,000 requests to be on boards just with that statement. I just want you to know. um, she currently sits on the volunteer board as director of operations for the American Pie Party, where she oversees fundraising events and marketing campaigns to raise funds to support families with children fighting cancer. Such a great mission. I'm Libby V, nonprofit champion and founder of Libby V and Associates. And through visioning and theory of change work, leadership coaching, fundraising support, and organizational and board development, our nonprofit leader clients successfully raise more money and have more impact. But not all nonprofits can afford to hire a consultant. So I've been trying to figure out lots of ways to be able to provide some help to nonprofit folks without it costing them money. So I created the Nonprofit Coffee Talk as a way to do that. I hope you find it useful. And again, give us some suggestions of who you'd like to see on or what topics you'd like us to talk about. So, welcome, Jen.
Thank you. And it just dawned on me that this is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, so perfect timing
Oh,
to be on here talking to you
it is. It
this
is.
month.
Oh,
Yep.
that's great. So, feel free to talk as much as you want about, your work with the American Pie Party and what you're up to and things like that throughout our conversation. But I'm going to start with a question specifically about our topic, networking.
Mhm.
How important is it for nonprofit folks to make, and that board or staff or other volunteers, to make the time to network and really connect with others?
I've only been with the American Pie Party for a little over a year. And this is my first experience on an actual board for a nonprofit organization. I've, volunteered many years and have done different things with other organizations and have helped with fundraising
Yeah.
for specific events. But so this is my first time actually like spearheading all of the things to raise funds for an organization, sitting on a board. And I have just learned this past year the power of meeting people, the power of taking the time to meet people, um, to talk to them about what you do, to ask them how you can help them, to not necessarily using the phrase, partnering up or collaborating, just networking and just meeting people. You never know who is out there that, number one, has a service or provides a service or a product, or has a connection that you need in order to meet your needs. But also, you never know when you're going to meet somebody that just falls in love with what your organization does and just chooses to be all in to help in some way or another that is very profitable. So, for example, one perfect example of this was we were hosting several events since last January through 2022 was the year first. This is the first year that we were actually doing a benefit dinner. We were going to try a 5K. We were going to do a family fun day. We were going to do a car cruise, and we were just kind of testing the waters with different events to see what we would fall in love with to then do annually. And so I was reaching out to a local marketing agency that's very, well known in Columbus, to see what it would cost to do some advertising with them, knowing that it was probably out of our wheel of funding. But I just wanted to know, like, I just needed to get the information so that I could keep it in my back pocket for maybe one of our more higher end, like the benefit dinner, like not this year, but maybe next year or 2 years from now, because they're our demographic. And so she wanted to do an online meeting rather than just send me a quote. She wanted to do an online meeting. So we hopped on a Zoom, and she just asked about our organization, and I was telling her about it, and she just kept asking questions, and she kept getting emotional. And I was, talking to her about the interviews I was doing with one of our parents that, whose child just passed away at the time. Nora was in the middle of her fight, but I was telling her about, like some of the things like the mom said, and like why what we do is so impactful to helping families that are in the thick of, cancer treatment. And she was just very moved. And so she reached out later and was, gave me some quotes and stuff. And she knew I had told her, like, this is probably not anything we're going to do now, but I just want to know what kind of budget we would need if we wanted to do this. And so she had sent me over some quotes. And then about 3 weeks later, she emailed me and said, Jen, I just want you to know that our organization does Restaurant Week for Columbus, and we always pick an organization to benefit from Restaurant Week and have a sponsor. And they also, and that turned into like over $3,000 in donation of funding raised.
Wow.
And and we, like, it just came out. It came from me reaching out to ask questions about the cost of marketing. Like, I didn't ask for anything free. I wasn't asking for them to be a sponsor. I wasn't asking for anything. I was just meeting to gather information. And she fell in love with us. And then her company fell in love with our mission. And then their sponsor fell in love with our mission. And by the end of July, we had raised they had raised $3,000, and we did nothing except share their posts. So yeah, it's things like that. Yesterday I had reached out for our benefit dinner. It's a bourbon and steak dinner, and I was trying to figure out a new product that maybe we could offer. And I was thinking about an engraved flask, and engraving was just so expensive online. And so I thought, I'm going to reach out to somebody locally and see, not ask if they could do it for free. I just wanted to get the pricing. Like, is this online engraving prices like legit, or am I, is it cheaper to go local? And so I just reached out to ask for pricing. I emailed them, and he responded in an hour and said, you know what? We love organizations like this. This would mean a lot to us if we could just engrave whatever you want to provide for free.
Wow.
I was like, okay. I mean, it's just meeting people Networking is everything. I would honestly tell you that if you are a nonprofit that is not making an effort to join chambers near you, um, join your local networking groups near you, um, whatever is in the entrepreneur space for networking, you can also be a part of that as a nonprofit.
Mhm.
And that is where you are going to meet people that fall in love with your organization, that will be willing to help your organization, that will be sponsors and provide swag bag items. And I mean, our president has joined several different chambers in our area, and so is our founder. And like through those connections, like we have made amazing connections. That's how we found somebody, a Culligan water representative, to provide all the bottled water for our 5K. It's how we
Wow.
found, yeah, it's how we found, we connected with, Kim connected with the marketing person for Nothing Bundt Cakes. And they provided these amazing cake towers for our prizes at the Classic Car Cruise In, and, you know, free coupons for free Bundt cakes for all of our swag bags for our 5K runs. And they did, they actually just did a birthday party fundraiser, their second birthday party. We were the charity that benefited from that, and all we had to do was show up with an info table and help them run some games. Um, and that cost us nothing, and we received funding from that. Like they
Mhm.
raised the funds. Um, it's just networking. It's getting involved in your local chambers of commerce. It's getting involved in your local networking groups. Not being afraid that if you meet somebody, um, that that you just meeting people, setting up
Mhm.
coffee dates. Just let me get to know you. Let me tell you what I do. You tell me what you do. Making friends, being a professional friend maker. Like that's really the key. And
Yeah.
if you're not doing that as a nonprofit, you are really, you're missing out on some great opportunities for growth, monetary growth, professional growth, in-kind donations. You know, it's number
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
I've learned that very quickly.
It is so important. And I think nonprofits often think that's not their space,
Mhm.
that it's for small businesses or large businesses or whatever. And I think often they think, chambers, no, that's for business, for-profit businesses. And, talk a little bit about also what should people do to kind of get ready for that, right? So they've decided, right? Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to join a chamber. I'm going to go to a chamber event or a networking event
Mhm.
with another group. What should they prepare for? Because I find sometimes people are really nervous about, I
Yeah.
need to be ready to pitch, or I need to have my elevator speech
Which you do.
memorized.
You do,
Yeah,
but it doesn't
yeah.
have to be amazing. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be earth-shattering, fabulous, type of thing. You can fumble through your words. So like I said, Kim, our president Kim and Tony Saboni, those are our two, and I do some networking, but the majority of networking for the American Pie Party is done by them. And they have the elevator pitch. We are the American Pie Party. We support families with kids in active cancer treatment. We support them emotionally, financially. We have a little speech that they introduce. And then usually when you go to a chamber meeting or a small business networking meeting or anything like that, there's a point in the meeting where you are allowed to have an ask. And so that is when Tony and Kim know what are our current needs. So whenever I let them know, hey, when you go to the next networking meeting or chamber meeting or whatever, and people are asking, and it's your turn to share what you need, these are the things I need. I am looking for swag bag items from small business owners. I'm looking for somebody to sponsor our water. I'm looking for somebody that would be willing to either provide whipped cream for the 5K pie run or be a sponsor for cash to pay so that we can purchase it. I give very specific asks. And when you go to a networking or a chamber meeting, that is common. Don't be afraid to put it out there what your ask is, and repeat it. Like, or I'm looking for a sponsor, or we're looking for people to purchase a table for our benefit dinner. We're looking for corporate sponsors for the benefit dinner. Or could you please share our current post on your social media? Would you please share our event for the classic car cruise and with anybody that you know that has a classic car that might be interested in participating? You can ask for all different types of things, and it's just a way for your local community business owners that are always looking for ways to support organizations like ours, as well as sharing. It's free advertising. It's you being able to spread the word about your organization, and in turn, when they have an ask, you do the same thing. You are providing resources for them as well. You can be a resource for others. So it's not just this, take relationship. It's give and take. So when I have people that need this, or one of our favorite organizations is Fishing with a Mission, and he will do these amazing fish fries for nonprofits to raise funds. And so he's done one for the American Pie Party, and it was fabulous. And so whenever Juan is hosting a Fishing with a Mission event and he needs volunteers to serve, like, we are the first to, like, hey, that fits in my schedule. I'll be there to, help serve up at the fish fry for the, whatever organization he's doing a fish fry for them.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a give and take thing. But what it does is it lets people know who you are, what you're doing. You meet more people the more you get involved. Um, it has also helped us. One of the things that we are always searching for is families to serve. Our focus is Central Ohio, but we have helped families in other states, and a couple of children even overseas in the past year. Um, but sometimes it's difficult to, like, get introduced. Like, we have the connections with the social workers and Nationwide Children's, and we're making all of those connections and meeting all of those people. But sometimes it just takes that one extra meeting for somebody to go, I can help you. I know a family. Every You would be so surprised. All of the families that we have been connected with are because somebody we have talked to knew a family that needed help. So networking has even served us in terms of finding families to serve, not just for fundraising and for advertising or anything like that, but to actually find the people that need our help. We have found them through networking.
Yeah, that's great.
Hmm.
And I love that you said it's a give and take, right?
Hmm.
Because, you know, it's you can't just always be asking, right? It's just
Hmm.
not how relationships work. If
Right.
think of it as like you said earlier, friendship. You're building a
Hmm.
professional friendship.
Yep.
And so talk a little bit about, giving versus asking.
I mean, you have to always, no, you can't ever be afraid to ask. That's important. I think a lot of people, whether it's a small business owner or as a nonprofit, we are often afraid of the ask. We're afraid to let people know what we need. um, we're afraid of what people will think. We're afraid that people will think that we're only thinking of ourselves and not going to be a giver as well. um, but the giving back is it's very subtle, and I think as long as you can talk openly, it's about relationships, about having a good enough relationship with the people that you meet and talk with, that you can ask them, like, what is it that you need? How can I help you? You have helped us do this. How can I help you now? Please reach out to us if you need volunteers. Please reach out to us if you need us to promote your, whatever, or if you need a partnership and we need to collaborate on something. Um, Always making sure that people know that it's not like that. Number one, that we are so grateful that you have even considered helping us with XYZ. So please make sure that you know that we are here for you as well. Um, and letting them know that, but they need to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Letting people know that they should never be afraid to ask the American Pie Party. All we can say is no, we can't do that, just as they can say no, we can't do that.
Mhm,
And then not taking that personally. It's okay.
mm,
Like, just that's what building a relationship, building it's not partnerships, it's not necessarily collaboration. It's just making connections that are meaningful, that are authentic, that are real, and keeping that pipeline full of resources for you, and making sure you're in somebody else's pipeline as a resource for them. These are the
mhm,
things that we have to offer. These are the things that we can help with.
mhm.
Um, I think that's the most important. And then, like, for sponsors, it's always a give and take. I'm sure you've talked about that on this show before. Like, what should a sponsor expect? I've talked to you about it before. What should a sponsor
Mhm.
expect whenever I'm, looking for an in-kind donation or a cash donation or a corporate sponsor? What do corporate sponsors expect?
Yeah.
And how can we give back? And I'm just always very honest. Like one of the networking connections that I made in an entrepreneur group was for a man that is a loan officer at a bank,
Mhm.
Hocking Valley Bank. And during one of the network meetings, I was like, hey, I said, I am in need of somebody to provide all of the snacks for my runners. Like, I need some granola bars, some protein bars, some bananas um, to be on a table for my runners when they're done running. So if anybody knows of a store owner or somebody that maybe I could talk to, I was just looking for a referral.
Mhm.
And he reached out to me and he said, I'm going to talk to the president of my bank because I think this is something we could do. And I was like, okay. And he said, but can you tell me, like, what does that look like for us? And I said, you will get a social media blast. You will be all over all of the printed materials. The snack table will have a sign with your logo, snacks provided by Hocking Valley Bank. Like, I made it very clear that people would visually see and know that this company sponsored us. Um, so I just, I made it very clear to them what we could give back. It's not, I don't think that they're expecting anything else. Do you know what I mean? They're not
Yeah.
expecting something huge in return. Just be honest about what you can do in return. And also
Mhm.
don't be afraid to ask them, is there something else you would like for this trade? Like, because maybe we can provide it. And ask them,
Yes.
just ask. You have to ask. So,
Yes.
and he was happy with, they were totally happy with all of the things that we did,
That's
and provided all
great.
the snacks.
Yeah, it's really good. And it just to insert this comment about sponsorship, right? When you're asking for a business to sponsor you, they're
Hmm.
using their marketing dollars. And so
Yep.
you've got that, you get it. So they're looking for ROI, return on investment for their sponsorship and the
Hmm.
and visibility like you described.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. This is really important information.
Oh, good.
So let's say you go to a networking event, you meet a few people, you get their cards, each time say, let's have coffee, or they do, like, I'd like to meet with you. Um, what should that goal be of setting up some time to connect with people that might or might not help your organization? You don't know that yet, right? Like, so
No,
what
you
should be
don't.
the goal?
Hmm. What should be the goal in terms of like how often you do it, or what should be the goal of the meeting?
I think what would be the goal of like an initial meeting? And then
I
we'll
think the
talk about
goal,
after that.
right? I think the goal of the initial meeting is truly just getting some one-on-one time to get to know each other, so that you can tell them exactly what your organization does, exactly why you joined it, why you were part of it, why you're passionate about it, and then asking and then getting to know them and their company, their business, whatever. Maybe they're a part of a nonprofit as well. Um, Maybe sharing, if they're part of a nonprofit, sharing resources like where do you find this, and who have you ever found somebody to do this social media, or what, how do you make your graphics, or what, just getting to know people. I think the first meeting should just really be a introductory, um, and check, and honestly, you're checking to see if your personalities click. Because there have been meetings I've had where I'm just like, I don't know if we're a good fit. Um, but in a good fit in terms of like, is this somebody that I would call on, for advice or to talk to or to collaborate with or something like that. It could always is somebody that I like keep in mind for like who I can help and who they can help, because you never know
Mhm.
when their niche might be something so specific, like the Colligan water person. Like, that's not somebody that I'm going to reach out to about a lot of things, but there are certain things that he was so willing to provide hundreds of bottles of water. And I don't need that for all the time, but um, it was wonderful to have that, and he is a resource. And so now I know that when he has an event coming up, or if he is has a special or something like that, I will absolutely be sure to share and to refer him. Like, if somebody needs a Culligan water system, that is somebody that I would refer. Richard was amazing. But I think that first meeting is just really getting to know each other, listening about your why, about your business, about your nonprofit, um, kind of feeling each other out to see what you think, see how busy each other is, see what resources you have, see what resources you could share with each other.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's always my first goal, is just honestly getting to know somebody.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, so do you kind of stay connected and keep people updated, after that initial meeting? Let's say you decide, oh, this is somebody that I want to keep and,
Yeah,
I want to nurture this relationship. So
I
then
I
how do
think
you do
most of
that?
the time that happens organically. It's not anything that's like intentional. I think those relationships happen organically. I will think of that person when something comes up. And I know that if I think of that person organically when I hear of something, then I know that that is a good relationship that's just going to keep organically building. Um, I definitely there are certain people that are in certain industries that, once we've had a meeting, they're like, if you have this, make sure you contact me. If you need this, make sure you contact me. Um, so I try to connect with them on my socials personally so that I can continue at least getting to know them in their personal life and in their business life and in their social media pages and things like that, so I can kind of keep up with all of that, keep up with them, so I know what's going on in their lives in between the times that we actually see or talk to one another. Um, but if those relationships are coming from networking meetings like chamber or entrepreneur groups or things like that, you're going to see those same people over and over again, which is an opportunity to continue the growth. And then you're pitching the same, introducing yourself the same way to a lot of times the same group of people week after week or month after month, however often you meet. And it's one of those things, how they say in business, it takes somebody 7 times before they'll actually buy, to
Mhm.
like 7 times of being exposed to something before they
Yes.
actually buy in. It's exactly the same with nonprofits.
Mhm.
It's the exact same concept. And so being at those meetings regularly and meeting those people and talking with those people and sharing coffee and hearing about, what their needs are and what their business is, like, you get to know them and eventually they get to know you, and they will either think of you whenever a family that they know gets sick, or they will think of you whenever um, they meet somebody that they think needs to know you. They will be an amazing referral source for you. You can be the same for them. I think the key is just really being consistent in whatever way you're deciding to network. Be consistent in it. Be
Mhm.
consistent in going to the meetings. If you sign up for a networking group, go. Put it on your calendar and go and meet the people. And when they have events, go. And when they need help for their events, help. Um, that's a big key. I
Mhm.
also think just um, being open to always having conversations. Like I said, sometimes it just happens so out of the blue, like me contacting somebody. It wasn't a networking meeting with the marketing person. I was meeting with her because I wanted to get information on pricing,
Mhm.
and then it evolved. But had I just like emailed her and said, could you send me some pricing on some monthly advertising XYZ, blah blah blah, had she not asked for a meeting, that would never have happened. She would never have
Mhm.
heard our story. She would never have heard about the story of Nora. She would never have heard, she just wouldn't have heard that. And so then we wouldn't have ever been considered. So yeah, I think it's just be consistent.
Mhm.
Be consistent.
Sometimes I think, showing up is a big chunk of it, just like
Yep,
being seen,
it
being
is.
in places and seeing, when you see people over and over and over, they can't help but you can't help but become, a positive
Hmm.
person in their life, right?
Right.
And top of mind when
Yeah.
they so I think that's a good chunk of it. I love that
Hmm.
advice. Go, 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 right? There
Hmm.
are times, when I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna go to that event. I've had a crazy day," or "I just don't have time. I need to do this one last thing." But every single time I go, I see people that I know, I meet new people, and I'm so glad I went,
It's
right?
so rewarding. Like,
It
you really
is.
do have fun. You can, yeah, don't let yourself talk yourself out of going to an event that is, just go. Just go.
Yes.
You will have fun. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree. We have about 3 minutes left. This has been incredible. We got a couple of really positive comments. So, and those of you that are out there listening, if you haven't been a guest yet, too, let me know if you want to be a guest. Ping me on one of my social media channels, or email me, or whatever. You send me a letter in the mail, whatever you want to do. Um, Jen, do you have any sort of last thoughts? We have a couple more minutes.
Um, this has been a year of firsts for us, and there have been some events that were just not great. This was a year of learning. Some events were not great. Some fundraisers we lost money on. Um, but this year has really been the eye opener, is the networking and the meeting of making sure that you are always meeting new people. Don't keep your circle so tight that you are relying on all of your resources from like 10 sources. Like, find new resources all the time. Always be open-minded to just be open-minded. Be open-minded, meet new people. Don't be afraid to have conversations about your organization, and don't be afraid to ask people about what they do. What do you do?
Mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a really great comment. And I just want to give you kudos to just how many events you've done. And they don't have to be gigantic formal
Mm-mm.
galas. You've done a lot of really cool, um, you know, the size is what it should be, right? I won't call it small, medium, or large. Like, they've just been right size, these events,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
have probably netted you a lot of new contacts,
yes.
and some people who are really excited about what you're doing, and
Yes.
that goes a long way. So kudos to you.
That's interesting to, if I can say this,
Sure.
that so you saying that, it reminded me. So one of our events that we had in June, which was a total flop, it was a family fun day at Scene 75. Not a good time to host any type of family oriented thing because of graduation season. The
Oh.
turnout was so low. It was like less than 10 people. Um, it would have been a great event. It was so much fun. The people that did come were amazing, but what we did do was, there were people that were at Scene 75 that had no idea the event was happening, that were there with their families, that walked into the event space and were like, what is this? And we talked to them and we showed them, who we were, and they got pamphlets and they got information and they got to have some cake and some food and whatever we had that day. And there was this one family that just literally fell in love with our organization that day. I'll never forget them. And she's like, my sister-in-law's little girl is in fighting cancer right
Oh.
now. And I said, please reach out to us if there's anything we can do to support her. And she took our information, and we hadn't heard from them in that capacity. However, they showed up for the 5K. Their family came and ran the 5K.
See?
And yeah,
That's a
so
great
that,
outcome.
like, even when you have an event that seems like a flop, there is somebody there that is going to be touched,
Yeah.
and it will carry on. And it is just like the snowball or domino effect. However, snowball is a great one because it's small and it gets bigger and bigger, bigger. That's what I'm talking about. Like, even when it's a flop, don't get too down on yourself. Like,
Yeah.
there was still some good that came out of that. And it was amazing to see that family run the 5K.
That's wonderful. And you learned, right? You're like, "Oh, next year we'll do this. We might
Yeah,
do this
next year
again, but
June
at a
is not
different
good.
time." Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That is a beautiful place to end. And
Mhm.
we could talk about this forever. There are so many little paths we could go down with sponsorship, and following up with people like that family and all those things, but we won't do that today. But I would love to invite you back sometime when you want.
I would love to come back
All
anytime.
right, good. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you, Jen, for being on. I
Thank you for
appreciate you
having
so
me.
much. And thanks,
This is a great
everybody out
space.
there. Yeah, it's fun, for
Well,
tuning
and thank you
in.
for providing it for nonprofits that struggle with
Oh,
hiring your service, because your services are amazing. We have done so. So,
oh,
but this is a really
thank
great space
you.
for people to get information for free as they're building, and it's very appreciative. Like,
Well,
this is
thank
great.
you.
Hmm.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that so much. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and go out and network today, or in the
Yes.
next, or tomorrow. Find some place to go network, right?
Yes.
Lots of opportunities wherever you are. So take care. We'll see you soon next week, same time. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.